They say that the view from your childhood window leaves an indelible mark on your personality. I was born in the USSR, in a city called Gorky, which means bitter. Out my window, I could see 3 towering factory smokestacks, a train station, and a beer kiosk. Every day at 5 p.m., I'd climb up onto the windowsill and wait for my mom to come home from work. We lived on the 3rd floor, and from my vantage point, I could see the endless flow of factory workers streaming out of the underground tunnel. Women hurried home or to the shops, while the men headed straight to the beer kiosk, forming a massive line. My grandfather had brought home a German binocular from the war, and I'd often use it to examine the people below. Sometimes they'd get into fights, sometimes they'd collapse and lie there on the ground for hours as if dead, and sometimes the police would come for them. If not everyone drank themselves senseless, it certainly seemed like many did. I have my own theory as to why Russia developed such a powerful attraction to self-destruction. My name is Elvira Bary. I'm a writer, and on this channel I share my insights into history, philosophy, personal growth, and literature. The scale of drinking in Russia can be illustrated by one of my childhood memories. I lived near an enormous car factory that employed over 30,000 people. Once, I went out to the vast empty parking lot in front of the main gates. Normally, it would be filled with cars waiting for sale, but that day they'd all been moved and the entire lot was covered in shiny little circles, like someone had scattered thousands of silver coins. These were vodka bottle caps. After their shifts, workers would buy vodka from elderly women who waited near the gates, drink it right there on the parking lot, and toss the caps on the ground. The summer heat had softened the asphalt, and the caps were embodied in it, like permanent fixtures. Drinking in Russia was largely a male activity, and that fact tells us a lot. Most men fall under the hunter personality archetype, which means they are naturally driven to provide for their families, defend them, win against rivals, and pursue accomplishments that earn admiration from their peers. The behavioral programs that govern us are ancient. Our civilization is only a few thousand years old, and biologically, we are no different from our Ice Age ancestors. But our circumstances have changed drastically, often making it impossible for people to fulfill their natural purpose. You can identify someone's purpose by looking at their interests and fears. Hunters are drawn to things that help them win, earn prizes, and elevate their status. They'll endure any hardship and achieve remarkable things, but they need to understand why they are on the hunt. If you're interested in discovering your personality archetype, take the quiz on my website. The link is in the description. The Soviet system repressed hunters at every turn because they were the most likely to resist the dictatorship. Soviet bureaucrats did not think in terms of purpose and archetypes, but their own subconscious told them exactly how to neutralize the hunter's energy, so no one would dare challenge the status quo. The Soviet hunter wasn't a provider. What could he buy in empty stores on a meager salary? He had no rights and could not protect himself or his family. The hunter had no freedom of movement. In the USSR, you could not choose where to live. You settled whenever housing was assigned to you. A hunter instinctively wants to make an impression on others, especially the opposite sex. They crave admiration and approval from their loved ones. But unless a hunter was a part of the Communist Party or had valuable connections, his trophies were things like honorary certificates, or holiday food packages, maybe a can of mayonnaise and some canned peas. There was no private business in the USSR, and career advancement was out of reach for many. How far could you go as a factory worker or a miner? Even if you were a top-notch specialist, you could not accumulate wealth, and your productivity had no impact on your well-being. In other words, the hunter was physically unable to fulfill his main role. A hunter archetype craves validation from respected figures, tribal elders and other hunters, not from his wife or kids. Hunters need to see tangible proof of their success and feel valued. When they feel unwelcome or judged, they become angry, often leading to destructive drunken behavior. The few pleasures left to Soviet hunters were sports on TV and men's clubs that gathered outside beer kiosks, in garages, or even on street corners. In Soviet folklore, one drunk often asks another, "Do you respect me?" It's a deeply symbolic question because respect is what the unlucky hunter yearns for most. Without it, he feels he has failed his life's mission. And when that happens, his ancient subconscious tells him he's just a drain on his tribe's resources. That's when a self-destructive program kicks in, pushing him to drink himself to death and make way for others more worthy. When alcoholism is widespread in male circles, vodka becomes a sort of ticket into the men's club. When fresh high school graduates joined the factory workforce, the older men would send them off to buy booze, then allow them to hang out in their real men's group. A younger hunter's worthiness was determined by his drinking skills. Could he drink without getting plastered? Sneak a bottle into a factory or dash to the store mid-shift? A hunter's nature doesn't change. He'll always seek out victories, even if it's just sneaking past the guard at the factory gate. Vodka was the only available antidepressant for Soviet people. After every horrific war of the 20th century, veterans returned with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, which, of course, went untreated. The Stalinist purges and mass arrests didn't help either. From what we can tell, undiagnosed depression was rampant in the USSR. People felt trapped with no way out. That's why Soviet art often has a haunting sadness to it. In America, people sing Happy Birthday. In the USSR, we had a children's song that went clumsy pedestrians splash through puddles. It's sung by a crocodile playing an accordion. Very melancholic for a cartoon song. If you'd like to hear it, just ask in the comments, and I'll drop you a link. My grandfather, a dashing colonel, began drinking after he was discharged from the army due to health issues. He had been a commander of a military base, and suddenly he was a pensioner with nothing to do. There was literally nothing waiting for him in the future. Growing up, I constantly heard stories of various talented craftsmen and inventors who drank themselves to death. They tried to make things, but the management didn't care about their clever ideas or innovations. It just created extra hassle. Nobody cared about profit or efficiency. Without the approval of the bosses, you couldn't even make the smallest changes in production. Every enterprise belonged to the state, and its fate was decided far away, in accordance with party directives and the 5-year plan. As a result, millions of talented people who could have contributed something valuable to the world felt utterly unfulfilled, simply because the system didn't allow them to bring their ideas to life. The same thing happened in creative fields. Countless actors, writers, artists, and musicians drank themselves into oblivion. After 4 generations under Soviet rule, alcohol had become such an integral part of life that it was practically a symbol of masculinity and a must-have for any celebration, a rare chance to relax and forget everyday worries. Vodka was used to pay drivers, porters, and plumbers. Friendships were forged over a glass of beer. Pricey alcohol served as a bribe for professors and doctors. But there is another surprising aspect. Drinking in the USSR was a form of personal freedom. Drunks were pitied. They were falling apart right in front of everybody's eyes, and a lot was forgiven. Absenteeism or even cursing the boss. Echoes of this tradition can still be seen today. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev was once seen as a liberal and a strong supporter of the West. But with the return of dictatorship in Russia, he's under serious threat. Right now, he's saving himself by playing the role of a drunk and posting wild nonsense on his Telegram channel. ChatGPT translates it into English, but in Russian, his texts are even cruder. No one knows if Medvedev is really drinking, but so far he hasn't been arrested, so his strategy seems to be working. In case you were wondering, the gesture men used to offer someone a drink looked like this. Subscribe.